I think FP1 maybe was a little bit better, but it was definitely encouraging what we've seen now.
But we've seen a little bit of a disparity. I mean, Lewis came out the blocks this morning. He was absolutely nailing it very, very early on, very aggressive. Is George as happy with his car as Lewis? Is George trying to find setup now? What's happening there?
I think on the first run this afternoon with the harder compound, I think it was it the medium they used, he was very competitive, and then putting on the soft, it wasn't anymore. So I wouldn't make too much of this today. I think tomorrow we will see.
But it kind of feels, Toto, that since you guys brought the big update package to Monaco, the momentum in the team has shifted more towards Lewis. It does seem like George has struggled more and more on a lot of weekends to get to that sweet spot and to get the results that we saw earlier on in the season, or even last year, where both drivers seem much more evenly matched, and if anything, George a little bit ahead.
I think we must wait now how this pans out, and we have more data points. This race and then Monza and maybe Singapore, it's 3 totally different tracks, and see whether there was a shift because of the update we introduced.
When we reflect on last year, of course, George on the podium, how close was Lewis to getting a victory there, or was that out of the question? Obviously that late safety car, just 16 laps to go, sort of put paid to any chances that he did have. What were your hopes?
Yeah, we made a big improvement from Friday to Saturday last year, which we're not 100% sure we understand yet, but the car was competitive, and I think putting an emphasis on the race like we did now makes more sense rather than just chasing the pole position.
Can I just ask you how much of the emphasis back in Brackley is on 2024 now? Because, you guys exist to win. You've said many times you're only interested in winning. George mentioned yesterday, second place is not a failure and people are overreacting, but you're a person used to winning. So how much of the factory is now thinking about next year?
I think what we need is to be, and we are, humble about it. You can't win every year. Everybody has great people in their teams, and you need to just take it on the chin. We've had 8 consecutive years where we won the championship, and now we are not setting those benchmarks, but we want to go back there without feeling entitled to it. But as a matter of fact, we're second in the championship. That's respectable if you discount Red Bull winning every race.
How useful was the break for you all, just pressing that reset button, individually and as a team, and what does that do in terms of looking ahead to the rest of the season? What are your targets?
I think this time was particularly good. I can only talk about me and my interaction with my direct reports. No emails, not a lot of WhatsApps. I was able to completely shut everything down, literally.
Bit of tanning, clearly.
Yeah, because there was sun in the summer. I wasn't in the UK, I was in Italy.
Not in the UK, there wasn't.
Yeah, so that was nice, a nice break.
Were you what from Friday can you say are you happy with? Have you got some changes to the car that the engineers are being positive about?
Yeah, positive. I think we learned a lot now in the session. We did maybe some things that weren't entirely positive, but it's those tiny steps that will matter for the race.
Let's talk about Niki Lauda for a moment, because it is, of course, the anniversary of his last victory here in Zandvoort. What does that do for you and the team? I mean, it must feel a bit emotional.
I didn't know that. He was never into starts, neither am I. So what is the anniversary?
So it was the anniversary of his last victory in Formula One here in Zandvoort, 1985.
Yeah, I think he wouldn't give a damn.
Really?
That's probably right.
85, that's so far behind. So I'll try to go in his footsteps and says that was yesterday in Niki's words. But obviously, we know he was a great driver. He was a great chairman, and he's dearly missed. And I've seen you shown the cap, and that is with us every race.
Do you still think about him? Do you wonder what Niki would do in situations, when you're trying to galvanise the team and get them motoring again?
Yeah, I do, but I think about him every day in various conditions. And I finally, 2 days ago, I saw his boat, the last boat that he had, and I didn't know who bought it and where it was, and suddenly it is there. And I thought that it was the last time we were together when things were good. So, yeah, a lot of thoughts about him.
Can I bring things back to the paddock here? I mean, we've seen McLaren, your customer team, of course, do an amazing turnaround from where they were at the start of the year. How much do you and your engineers look at that? The fact that even with these restricted rules and cost cap and things like that, big changes of performance are possible. They've outscored you guys, for example, in the last 4 weekends.
Yeah, I think that's great to see. With Aston Martin over the winter, they've made a mega step, which I didn't think was possible. And now we're seeing McLaren. They were never in Q3, you can say, and suddenly they're racing for pole positions, and they're very strong in the race. So I think that's very encouraging to can see that even with those weird ground effect cars, if you unlock something, you can gain tons of time.
But in a way, does it make it difficult for you to establish the pecking order? Because from one week to the next, you just don't know who is in that chasing pack behind Max.
Yeah, so in that respect, I think, I hate to say that, but we're a little bit steady Eddie. You know, we are always there. There's sometimes people that are in front of us, McLaren, or was it Ferrari or Aston Martin, and they keep oscillating, but we're always there collecting those points with two strong drivers.
Toto, thank you very much for your time, and all the very best this weekend.
You.
Okay, final word from you guys. Quick prediction as to who's going to put it on pole tomorrow.